Welcome to 10 things you definitely didn't know about Payday 2. I'm up in the ante here as we hit 50 secrets total across the series, mainly just because I'm running out of viable titles I can use. Obviously I haven't done one of these in over a year, but as Payday keeps getting more and more content, the secrets and hidden Easter eggs just keep piling up. Today's video is going to consist of fascinating details added in the post-White House campaigns, as well as focusing on a few gameplay relevant mechanics which I've picked up on whilst practicing to become a more competitive Payday speedrunner. As ever, drop a like if you learned something new, a dislike if you knew everything already, even though that metric isn't as useful as it used to be, and don't forget to leave your comments below for the secrets I've missed across all 5 episodes so far. At number 1, let's start strong with one of my favourite recent discoveries. Payday 2's world feels incredibly disconnected at times. Sometimes it's easy to forget that most of the heists in the game take place in the same city with its distinct landmarks. Of course, we're able to see the White House, most notably from Framing Frame Day 3 and Big Bank, but did you know 2 of the earliest heists in the game also take place within view of each other? Day 2 of Watch Dogs is actually visible from Day 3 of Rats, and vice versa. This is a brilliant detail that possibly gives us some insight into the living, breathing heisting world planned for Payday 3. Notably, release Payday 2 seemed to pay more attention to this connected world. This means that it's possible for us to locate where I believe these heists are meant to have taken place on a map of Washington DC. From other landmarks such as the Nationals Park and the Capitol Building, it actually seems likely Rats Day 3 takes place on a simplified version of the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge, with Watch Dogs taking place less than a mile away, potentially where Vulcan Materials lies in the real world. I wonder if it was originally planned for CrimeNet to function as more of an accurate world map indicating where heists were meant to take place. In any case, this location wouldn't have fit onto the in-game map. Another feature that seemed to be a product of early Payday design philosophy was the addition of hidden routing paths for moving loot through the map. You should be aware of the sore spot on Watch Dogs Day 1 allowing you to get the jump on the ambushing cops, but there is a similar spot on Day 2 of Framing Frame, granting access to a sewer system that I bet very few of you have been into. This is partially because Day 2 can be completely circumvented if we stealth Day 1, but it does have some value when escaping the ambush. Veterans will almost certainly be aware of this already, but did you also know Diamond Store, one of the most farmed heists in the game, also has a similar shortcut designed specifically for your loot. On the second floor of the Diamond Store, we can shoot through 2 air vents to connect directly to the Falcaghini store next door. This allows us to move bags slightly faster and safer if the escape spawns on that side of the map. In stealth, it's virtually useless, but even so, it's the kind of thing that absolutely broke my mind when I found out about it. Sticking with the Diamond Store, if you don't want to go with a trusty ECM rush, there's actually a really easy safe strategy my stream taught me for getting through the traditional stealth way. Simply roll for the Titan safe in the camera room and start drilling after taking care of the one guard inside. This will lure the 3 remaining guards on the map outside, allowing them to be taken care of much more cleanly than if you choose to mess around on the second floor. This is definitely going to help out with those nasty challenge runs where I need to ensure stealth goes off without a hitch. Before we go any further, I do want to quickly remind everyone, as if you'd forget, of the Hardcore Heister, Career Criminal and King Amongst Thieves, my Apex Gaming PC range. These things are heisting-centric machines built for Payday to eradicate crashes from your experience. Almost. Check them out from the link below. Furthermore, I want to thank my new patrons across the 3 core tiers. Thank you for the fantastic response to the last video, I hope you're enjoying your early access, and I'll have a patron exclusive poll going up tonight for which challenge run I should pursue next. Back to the secrets, this one is huge and is going to be game changing for some of my speedrun strats. Because of how gun alerts work on a 1.5 second timer, it's possible to turn the silent motor saw into something genuinely silent. If you saw fresh air, your noise radius will only be 2 meters, so guards won't be alerted unless they're incredibly close by. If we then saw the object we want to open within that 1.5 second window, the increased 8.5 meter sound radius from sawing a physical item won't be procced, meaning we can actually use the silent saw quite actively on stealth missions. One great example of this is on the train heist, where this mechanic can save from having to drill during stealth. Huge shout out to Unknown Knight for enlightening us about this mechanic back in 2020. Moving on to the many new references and Easter eggs featured in the post-game DLC campaigns over the past couple of years. We already know that Breaking Bad as a series looked upon fondly by the creators of Payday 2. These references range from achievement descriptions to heist inspirations, but doesn't get more on the nose than with the border crossing heist from late 2019. If we take a look at the promotional material for the Silk Road campaign, we can see that not only does it share the same aesthetic, it also seems to directly mimic the movie posters from El Camino. To cement this even further, on the US side of the border, we can see a pretty distinct RV off in the distance. This is the 1986 Fleetwood Bounder, an iconic motorhome for meth cucking, according to its nickname, the Crystal Ship. This version we see here in Payday 2 is pretty much a one-to-one replica down to the striped exteriors of that scene in the show, making this a fairly definitive homage. Sticking with the Silk Road, the San Martin Bank also carries a fun Easter egg on the second floor offices. All of the named employees seem to be of some relation to Hispanic celebrities across many different disciplines, including the likes of R. Nadal and G. Del Toro. Back to trying to offer some actively useful information, this one actually comes courtesy of a really useful guide on steamsplay.com. On the stealthy underground approach of Bollocks Mansion, we can transport any additional loot to the escape with surprising ease. Just head over to the piano room, aim over the balcony towards the sea below, and throw your loot directly into the water. The devs chose not to punish players who drop loot overboard too intensely, which means the bags will respawn right by the dock, next to the escape, a massive time save when going for all loot or the everything but the patio furniture achievement. Not to be outdone by the Silk Road, the City of Gold campaign also has its fair share of fun Easter eggs. Here's one I recently discovered when recording the City of Gold story episode. Within the many empty lurking stores in the Dragon Heist rendition of San Francisco's Chinatown, we can actually find sets of the elusive Kawaii Skulldozer bobbleheads, which seem to never be in stock in reality. Clearly, in the Payday universe, they were printed at a rate that actually can handle demand. Moving on to the Ukrainian prisoner heist, I am a huge fan of the keypad Easter egg. Here we see the 4 keys missing from the handsy keypad, a notable omission bearing in mind its cultural significance that's somewhat similar to the West's aversion to number 13. Number 4's association with death means that it makes sense for the Triad to avoid using it around their compound. Finally, across both the Ukrainian prisoner heist and Mountain Master, we can find 2 ornate gongs, which amusingly enough, when hit, will instantly set off the alarm and break stealth. When I first saw this, I wondered if it was part of some elaborate secret, but I guess Overkill are just trolling me these days. At number 8, we have a bit of an odd one really. Some of you may have noticed that Captain Winters can spawn on the Dragon Heist. What's really strange about this is that he hadn't been seen since all the way back in Alaskan Deal. That means for the entirety of the Kataru arc, he was MIA. And I guess we can assume that after failing to pin the Payday gang down in Alaska, in what was a perfect ambush opportunity, Garrett decided that the captain and his Phalanx squad were not all they were cracked up to be, sending him off to operate outside of the capital. This is the only possibility that makes sense lore-wise, as this is the first heist in the San Francisco campaign, so his presence could only have been coincidental. That, or Overkill hadn't thought about it, and I'm overthinking as ever. Hell, it might not even be the same Winters for all we know. Here's one for you big oil dislikers. The Cold Fusion puzzle at the end of Day 2 is notoriously complicated and perplexing for new and experienced players alike. Not to mention, finding fiddly clipboards on a decently sized map is not all that much fun. But did you know it doesn't always have to be this way? You have a 1 in 7 chance at each intel spot to find an incredibly useful asset for Day 2. This is the Cold Fusion research, and you won't know you found it until pre-planning for Day 2 begins. If you do get lucky enough to locate it, you can read through this rather convoluted research document, which in particular highlights the use of the element palladium. Now, after completing Day 2 up until the basement section, you will find a new whiteboard which solves most of the puzzle for you in one go. As we can see, PD is adjacent to both H2, also known as deuterium, and 3H, meaning we don't need to find any clipboards, as we already know we're looking for the blue deuterium cans with 3 connections. This will always be the case, limiting the correct answer to only engine at 9 or 12, with it being 12 if the screen displays pressure greater than 5,783, and 9 if it's less than 5,812. This massively cuts down on the busy work you'll have to do during the heist, and simplifies and streamlines the entire process for you. Huge shout out to Mark MB for covering this lesser known mechanic in his incredibly thorough Everything There Is to Know About Big Oil video. I recommend the guide series tremendously. Finally, for number 10, as with most of these lists, I like to finish by explaining a mechanic which is worth understanding but not deep enough to deserve its own video. This is the shoot on hurt system, which is incredibly problematic for stealth runs. Essentially, after a guard has been alerted to your presence for 3 seconds or more, they will become active. This means that they will have a 10% chance to shoot upon receiving damage or even dying. Naturally, this has the potential to ruin many a stealth run. So how do we avoid it happening altogether? Well, the most uncomplicated way is just to make sure that you take out all guards in stealth whilst undetected, or within at least 3 seconds of the guard going uncool. Obviously, that's not always an option, so there is another way to keep in mind. If you're within the 5 meter radius at which shotguns or the Gecko M2 pistol will launch bodies, you won't have to worry, as guards sailing through the air will not have the time to fire bullets. This is just another reason to try and thread a launching weapon into your stealth build, because there's nothing worse than stealth being ruined by a 10% roll. Remember to consult the long guide if you want a more detailed explanation of this interaction and how to limit your exposure to it. And those are the 10 things you definitely didn't know about Payday 2. Now, I'm positive there's still more material out there that I haven't covered. This game is so mechanically rich, it actually surprises me that updates don't break things more often than they currently do. If there are any cool Easter eggs, secrets or heist techs that I haven't mentioned yet that you're aware of, please do let me know in the comments below. Producing this series has actually been tremendously helpful for me in terms of expanding and consolidating my game knowledge, which is extra useful as I up the ante on challenge runs and speed runs. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.